So there are many people here at APAC who are speaking that people want to make sure they hear none more than the gentleman I'm standing with right now from the Wall Street Journal, Bret Stephens. First of all, you were marvelous, and
Thank you.
you do a real service by coming here and speaking your mind.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
To what extent are you concerned that Americans, general Americans in the street, do not appreciate the extent to which Iran is a real threat, not simply to Israel, but to the United States and the Western world?
I mean, in general, I think it's actually a credit to Americans that they are seized of the threat. It's easy to become almost hysterical about the state of American public opinion from time to time, and yet, by and large, Americans tend to rise to occasions and rise to challenges as they see them coming. And I think the consensus view, or an emerging consensus, is that a nuclear Iran is intolerable to American interests, to say nothing of Israeli interests, and ought to be thwarted, which is, I think, encouraging. I noted at the State of the Union address in January that the only applause line that really was universal was when the president said that a nuclear Iran was intolerable to the United States.
Bret, as far as you're concerned, has the administration gone far enough in terms of making its intentions clear that if it's necessary, it would take military action?
Well, you notice that the president has gone much farther than ever before in just the last week, and you have to wonder whether it has anything to do with the APAC policy conference and the imminence of an election where the president's bona fides on this subject have been in doubt. Now, if the president means what he says, particularly understands that a nuclear Iran is not a containable event, and that all options on the table means precisely that, then I'm more heartened. My fear is that what we've seen in the last week is a moment of political opportunity tied to a political fear that an Israeli attack would cost the president in November if oil prices spike or if the United States becomes tangled in the war.
Bret, do you want the United States to go to war with Iran?
I want the United States to prevent Iran by all means necessary for acquiring nuclear weapons. Nobody, I mean, as I said earlier, I was just out with the Fifth Fleet, with the men and women of the Vincent and the Bunker Hill and our other assets, and nobody wants to put them in harm's way more than they already are. But I also think that we would all be in much greater danger, not only our sailors and soldiers, but Americans at home, if Iran becomes a nuclear weapon state. You know, bear in mind, this is a country that was prepared to blow up a restaurant in Washington, D.C., and that was without the benefit of a nuclear umbrella. So what exactly would they be ready to do or to threaten if they felt they had the added security of nuclear weapons? So it's not out of any warmongering on my part. It's out of, I think, realistic fears about American security that we want to make sure that at the end, and no matter which way, we achieve the goal of preventing the Iranians from becoming a nuclear power.